You are standing in your backyard on a Saturday morning in June. Your neighbor is 200 feet away, but they can see everything you do. A code enforcement officer drives past your house once every 6 weeks. You want to build something that generates $5,000 a month here. But the moment you pour a foundation, someone will notice. The moment they notice, the complaint arrives. The moment the complaint arrives, your operation ends before it starts. Now, I want you to sit with this for a moment. This is not about breaking rules or hiding from the law. This is about understanding a gap in how zoning actually works. I have spent 15 years teaching people to build income into backyards. My father was a surveyor. He taught me to read property lines before I read much else. Today, I am going to show you the foundational move that makes everything else possible. It is called the sightline rule, and it is entirely legal. Here is what you will know by the end of this chapter. You will understand which part of your property is least regulated. You will know how to position a structure so code enforcers literally cannot see it. You will have a checklist, 4 specific documents to pull before you build anything. And here is the part that changes how you approach this. Stay with me, because the fence you choose, the hedge you plant, the berm you raise, each one works differently, and one of them will carry a law most people do not know exists. The difference between the right choice and the wrong choice is the difference between $5,000 a month and $5,000 in fines. Let me start with the fact that saved every project I have ever done. Now that you know how to hide the work, here is how you build the income tiers themselves. You are standing on a completely flat lot, the kind where every direction looks the same. There is no natural slope, no existing grade change, nothing to work with but dirt. This is actually an advantage, and I will tell you why in a moment. First, you need to understand what a flat lot forces you to do. Everything you build, every inch of elevation, every step up, you import and engineer from scratch. That is the constraint. That is also the entire design challenge of Phase 1. My father used to say, "The retaining wall is not decoration. It is the business." He meant this. Without a wall holding back your imported soil, the fill simply migrates and flattens. Rain, foot traffic, time. They collapse your tiers back into nothing. A wall keeps the income zones separate. Separate tiers means separate revenue streams. I use dry stack segmental block. Typically cost around $400 to $500 for 3 tiers. No mortar. You stack them. You backfill with crushed stone, and you install drain pipe at the base. The drainage is non-negotiable. Water behind the wall is the primary failure point. Most people skip it. I do not. A single tier is 18 to 24 inches of height. That small a rise feels private to a renter, creates what feels like a room outdoors. 3 tiers stacked gets you 72 inches of elevation at the rear, enough to block street sightlines entirely. You combine that height with dense planting at the front tiers, and suddenly, no one at street level sees your operation. The plants do double work. They stabilize the soil on the terraced face, and they screen everything. Arborvitae establishes fast. Clumping bamboo is aggressive without being invasive. Layer your plantings by maturity. Fast establishing shrubs in front, tall ornamental grasses in back. Now, here is where the magic happens, and it is the reason Phase 1 demands you do this work yourself. Each tier is positioned with its own revenue identity, before you lay a single block. Tier 1 is your product stage. Tier 2 is your event zone. Tier 3 is your premium rental space. They are not layers of dirt. They are 3 separate business units. But that infrastructure is only the skeleton. What you place on each tier next is where the actual income takes shape. That is the microeconomy. And it is how 5 separate streams work together inside one backyard. Now that your tiers are built and planted, the ground is stable. And here is where the real money lives. You have a physical stage. What you do on it and with it creates 5 separate $1,000 streams. I did not invent this. I have watched it happen 12 times in my backyard alone. The first stream is what I call the nursery. You propagate plants, you sell them. A single mature hosta clump splits into 10, 15, 20 saleable divisions in one season. One Monstera mother plant yields dozens of node cuttings every year. Dozens. You price a rooted cutting at $12 to $18. Your cost of goods is basically zero. Buyers find you on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Nextdoor, Etsy. They come to a side gate. From the street, nobody sees a thing. Just a normal garden getting tidier. The second stream, workshops. You teach propagation, composting, seed starting, soap making. $50 per person, 10 people, one Saturday morning. That is $500. Do that twice a month, and you have made your 1,000. No storefront, no sign. Attendees book via Eventbrite or a simple Stripe link. They arrive by appointment. The third stream is the space itself. You rent your backyard for micro weddings, photo shoots, yoga, peer space, Gigster, Swimply. Platforms handle everything. You set the rate, they book it. A single event on a Saturday afternoon at $150 per hour covers rent. 2 bookings per weekend. And that 1,000 is sitting in your account by Monday. The fourth stream lives on a screen. Affiliate links, seed companies, tool retailers, Amazon. You write a post. The 5 trays I use for propagation. You link each one. Someone clicks, buys a tray. You earn $6. 200 copies sold per month is $1,200. The 5th stream, digital. A PDF guide, an online course, a printable planting calendar. You make it once. You sell it 100 times. The 100th sale costs you nothing. All 5 of these streams feed each other. A nursery customer becomes a workshop attendee. A workshop attendee buys your digital guide and follows your email list. Your email list, that one asset you own outright, is the connective tissue of everything. From the street, your backyard is just a well-kept garden. Staged, photogenic, ordinary. But inside that ordinariness, 5 separate cash flows are running in parallel. And here is the part I need you to hold on to as we move forward. The growth I have just described works only if nobody knows it is working. But what happens when you need the income to grow further without becoming visible? That is the final move. And it is not what most people think it is. And here is where it gets interesting. The part that makes this whole thing actually scale past $5,000 a month. By month 4, your 3 tiers are producing. Your 5 streams are running. Neighbors see nothing unusual. But you are now hitting the ceiling of what flat square footage can do for you. The move most people make is wrong. They expand outward, add more beds, bigger footprint. Enforcement sees it. Complaints arrive. Your invisibility ends. So here is what I do instead. And this is the secret I hinted at from the start. I go vertical and interior. I move production off the ground and inside existing structures. Your garage, your basement, a spare bedroom, any covered space that already exists on your property. That is where the real scaling happens, and I want you to understand the mechanism. A single shelf of microgreens under LED lights yields a flat every 7 days. One flat wholesales at $20 to $50. That is $250 per square foot per year. Compare that to your outdoor beds at $30 to $40 per square foot. Microgreens are invisible. They live in shade, no pest pressure, no seasonal downtime, no neighbors watching. At the same time, you succession plant outdoors every 10 days, not once per season. Spring lettuce, then summer greens, then fall spinach, overlapping cycles that keep beds producing 12 months. Your single tier now harvests 3 times what it did in month 3. Your email list grows to 3,000 from workshop overflow and CSA subscribers paying ahead. That recurring revenue, 50 people at $60 monthly, is $3,000 before you harvest a single leaf. Remember the sightline rule, the tier stack, the 5 streams. Look at what we just walked through. You have taken a flat, invisible lot and made it yield what a half-acre farm yields. Now I want to hand you something to notice. Go to your own property and count your covered square footage. Garage, shed, attic access, basement. Every one of those is production space that shows nothing from the street. That is your scaling room. That is where 5,000 becomes 10. Here is my question for you. What existing structure on your property has never been used for anything productive? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I use what you say to plan what comes next. Because this template, fully documented, becomes something you hand to someone else or scale to a second property. That is how you turn a backyard into a replicable system.